you can you can look into at any time. Okay, yeah. Then let's start into today's topic. Yeah, today we have already our fourth topic. Yeah, that's about the risk management frameworks and yeah. Let me have a look. Is there another guest or okay? Give me a second. Yeah, that's just the read. Sorry, yeah, the read out loud function is this. Yeah, good. Because I have also AI read installed and ultimately is helping here to summarize. But I have to admit. So how can I admit? It's already, yeah, admit, yeah, you see, because that gives us a protocol of our meeting as well. And here, read AI is quite helpful. Yeah, then we have all that, the subtitles to the speech or to the presentation. That's here the reason behind. Okay, yeah, then, just in time, yeah, 7:30. We start with the fourth topic, risk management framework and standards. Yeah, today we will hear about the COSO framework, enterprise resource framework, as well as the ISO 31000. That's the main bullet points. Yeah, we go through some slides, and of course, I would also present here the exam fact sheet, as well as some reflection, some stop and think tasks, and so on. And please also participate and ask question. You can really interrupt me at any time, and if it is boring, then you can also knock at your door.
No. It's okay.
Please, I'm already falling asleep. I had a long day or whatsoever. So just keep us here busy, so that we can follow and that we have really a good progress. I will switch now to the let me say, to the presentation mode. Then the screen would even be a bit bigger. Yeah, and here we go. Yeah, the first question is, what do we understand by a risk framework? Yeah, what's the content of a risk framework? Yeah, so therefore you have here to think about what is the reason at all to have a framework. Yeah, framework itself gives you a high level umbrella, what is risk management about, and what it is comprising. You see here on the left side quite a good chart which is summarizing. You see in the center we have the enterprise risk management framework. That can be, for example, ISO 31000 or it's COSO ERM. Both of these systems they have their advantages, but also quite their disadvantages. The good thing is that there is no best single way. So the best, if you ask me, would be that you just pick whatever suits you in the best manner. So you can take here elements from the ISO, you can combine it with elements of the ERM system. So therefore, when it comes to the framework, which you design in a tailored way for your company, then of course you can arrange it really according to your needs. But what are the main pillars of the enterprise risk management framework? Of course, you have to integrate it with the business strategy and with the planning. You do a risk identification assessment. You do a risk mitigation. And you do also the reporting. These are the core pillars. And so therefore it gives you here a governance policy, how the people should carry out risk management in your organization. But always be aware, in general, Yeah, when you think about any statutory regulations, general accepted accounting policies, or other regulation, there is no compulsory standards which you have to apply. Yeah, so you are very free to organize here. So therefore, when it comes to the framework, it's a kind that you set your own benchmark for good practice. Yeah, some companies, they do it meticulously in detail. Yeah, yeah, they just think, I have to think about risk, and they do it out of a gut feeling. Yeah. Do you have
Yeah.
any questions so far?
No,
No.
just yeah. I mean, ISO. I know about ISO certain
Yeah.
functions, but I'm not, because I'm not in operations, so I don't really know what it is. What does it entail? I just know generally that they have a standard to meet, especially for manufacturing.
Yeah,
That's all I know.
these are other standards. These are not these are also under ISO. Yeah, because this
Hmm.
ISO is in that International Standards Organization, was developed in Germany and rolled out worldwide, and is regulating, of course, the mainly focus is about manufacturing. Yeah, and when it comes to manufacturing, then you have here different standards which you have to fulfill, and the ISO organization is really doing a check on you. You have on regularly intervals to update your procedures, your processes, and so on. And that is a kind of quality branding for a company. If you think about aviation industry, yeah, or if you think about the pharmaceutical industry, the food industry, they have separate standards, yeah, but also the car industry, they follow mostly ISO, yeah,
Mhm.
because they have to fulfill high quality standards. Yeah? Just imagine if a part of an airplane is not properly done, yeah, because it's faulty. Yeah, then what is the consequence? There are severe consequences. So they have really to keep high standards, yeah, and therefore this ISO provides here a good guideline, and there are ISOs for every sector, yeah, specifically, and they work also together with other statutory bodies. For example, in Germany, there is the so-called TÜV. Yeah, that's a checking institution which is really doing checks on the spot. Yeah, they take, let me say, a sample of your product and check it, how it works, where there might be some danger, and so on. Yeah, that's here how these frameworks work, how the frameworks are organized, and of course they are supposed to reduce risk. Yeah, any
Mhm.
form of risk shall be reduced. Yeah, that's the purpose of the
So this
framework.
ISO 31000, the 2018 one, there is, I assume, because I never read it, I assume that it governs a lot. It's like a very, very expensive manual, but we only need to know the part about organizational structure, is it, for this
Yeah,
module?
exactly. Yeah, for the exam itself, later on in the slides, yeah, we will dive through the highlights of the ISO. Yeah, so
Okay.
what are the components about? What are the inner cores? What is the purpose, and so on? How it is organized? That we will dive through, and you really just need to know on high level. Yeah, you need
Okay.
not to know, there is practice 5.1, blah blah blah. No, that's
Okay.
not necessary. You just need to have an idea. For example, in a case study, yeah, then they would there is an issue, and then you can say, okay, here you should apply ISO. ISO is helping you this and this and this, and that's already what you need to know. Yeah.
Okay.
So don't be that much scared about the depth of the knowledge, because let me say, ISO, as you mentioned, yeah, is very, very comprehensive. There is a schedule, a manual of, I don't know, some 1,000 pages or something like that. And they cannot expect that you dive here into that detail. Yeah. Anyway, in practice, you have always the opportunity, yeah, to look and see. You need not to know it by heart. You just need to have an overview that you know where you can look up. Yeah, that's what also this module shall train you. Yeah, that it gives you some hints where you can gather additional information for your practice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Then when you think about risk management, yeah, risk management here, the activity itself, yeah, as it is highlighted, might be implicit or explicit. Yeah, most small companies, they do it implicitly. Yeah, because yeah, the owner or the managers, they know, I have also to consider what might be the probable outcome and how I am affected by this and that decision. Yeah, ultimately here, uh, yeah, implicitly, when you do it implicitly, of course you don't have that results in the long term, because it's always yeah, action based. Yeah, if you have a decision to make, yeah, then of course you apply. Yeah, but you don't have a generalized system or a standardized approach. In large companies, of course, you have to, yeah, because large companies, they are faced with a lot of more challenges, and there is a lot more complexity, so therefore there is a need, yeah, for a formal explicit risk management. Yeah, and what is here the purpose? Yeah, to ensure that the risk management decisions support ultimately strategic objective. It all starts with your strategic objective, and then of course, you know, you have the vision, you have the mission, you have a purpose statement, and you have the operational objectives, yeah, and the tasks and the responsibilities here to carry out or to deliver. Yeah, and of course, here in each delivery or in each decision you make, yeah, risk is involved. Yeah, without making any risk, even if you don't make any decision, you are at risk. Yeah? So that you should here to know. Yeah, you see here the any question?
No, no, I'm
No,
okay.
because if I hear a sound from you, then I assume you want, yeah, to give me some, yeah, give you address some questions.
No,
Yeah,
no, I'm okay. Yeah.
yeah, okay. Here we have an overview. Yeah, this overview, of course, I took here from the book. I regarded this, yeah, as an approach quite useful. And yeah, you can also relate it or use it in exam when it comes to questions. Yeah, for example, how a risk framework, yeah, is here supporting value creation, yeah, and how it is how does risk management contribute to the protection of the value creation. Yeah, then you say, usually, of course, risk management shall be integrated. Yeah, it is not an let me say, an isolated task. Yeah, just that we carry it out as a tick in the box approach. No, it shall be really yeah, embedded deeply in your organization. Yeah, it shall be structured. Yeah, and of course, by time it shall be comprehensive. But when you implement the risk management framework, you always start at a small level, and by time you expand. Yeah, of course, you customize. Yeah, it is a difference whether you are in the banking industry, where additional regulations apply and have been also added to the risk management. Yeah, for example, a bank has to fulfill the Basel IV standards. Yeah, Basel IV standards are also part of the risk game. Yeah, yeah, it must be inclusive. Yeah, all your, yeah, all your department shall be involved. Yeah. Also, the framework shall be dynamic. There is not such a thing, yeah, that you just once draw up your framework, although it's umbrella. Yeah, but it needs to give room, yeah, how you organize the operational risk approach, yeah, because the risk framework itself is more at the strategic level, yeah, but it shall be dynamic so that you can always quite easily adapt to changes, yeah. And the framework itself shall, of course, also update it in terms of best available information. Yeah, when you think about COSO, first it was COSO 1, then it was COSO 2. Now it's since 2018, it's COSO ERM. Yeah, and then of course they always develop this framework further, and you can take elements out of it. Yeah, and when you think about the risk framework, yeah, it is of course also a kind of guideline. Yeah, you have to consider the human and cultural factors. Ultimately, it must address your stuff. Yeah, they must be able to identify themselves with the framework. Yeah, so that they really know, yeah, why we are doing this, what is the purpose, what is the value added of our framework, and how we shall apply all such things shall here be helpful for your stuff. And continuous improvement, very important. Yeah, you always improve. Yeah, there is no such things that you say, now we have implemented and we never ever look into it again. That's it. Yeah. When it comes to the application, when it comes, of course, that the framework itself really works, it needs leadership and commitment, and the commitment starts, with the top management. If the top management is not behind the risk framework, how shall then the staffs be behind? Yeah, so therefore, it's here about the design. It's about also the implementation. You need to evaluate on regular intervals, and as we already mentioned, you have to improve it. How does it look like in more detail? When you look into the recording and reporting, without recording and reporting, it's useless, because ultimately you do risk management to get further information, more profound information, which gives you a fundament for decision making. So therefore, you need to define the scope, the context, criteria. You need to do the risk assessment alongside the risk identification, risk analysis, risk evaluation. You need to think about risk treatment. So therefore, it's a lot of communication. You also consult here your employees. So it's a two-way process, top down and bottom up. And the review, of course, if you apply here the standards COSO, then you will be subject to audit, as well as with ISO. There would be regular audits here. Also helping you to maintain or to improve the quality of your risk framework. So, you see here, that's in the further slides, we dive here into the main points, which you should regulate, because it shall give you a mechanism how you identify the risk, how you assess the significance of the identified risk. Not every risk needs to be treated in the same way. You must find an approach how you can prioritize risks, because you must always think about the time of the management, the time of the people is very limited, so they have always to focus to the most essential points, and therefore the assessing of the significance is one of the most important things you need to do before you even start really with dealing with the risk in detail. Then, of course, you have to find the system which helps you to detect changes, changes in the risk landscape, because the risk exposure tends, of course, to change. That is also not static. Yeah, you must find an approach how you organize it. Yeah, because it's not automatically. You must gather information. You must train here the people that they report, let me say, to the risk department. Yeah, what is going on in the field? Yeah, on their level. Yeah, and then the risk management department can evaluate this. Yeah. And of course, finally, you have also to control the organizational risk exposure. Yeah, later on, we will also look exactly what do we precisely understand by organizational exposure, because that's already a technical term. Yeah. Yeah, that's about here, let me say, the risk severance, the risk probability and the severance. Yeah, what's the outcome? And then you multiply here and you get the ratio. And with this, you deal here the exposure. And then you limit the exposure. Yeah, you cannot go into an unlimited exposure. Yeah, that's not possible. Yeah. Yeah, what are the activities? Yeah, for any risk management, here we have, let me say, yeah, the four risk activities, yeah, which is the risk analysis, the risk identification, yeah, the risk description, risk estimation in detail, yeah, the risk reporting, risk assessment. Yeah, these are here, yeah, activities so far. Yeah, you see it here in the way that we have here a flow chart. Yeah, you start with the objective, you assess, yeah, you report, you decide, you treat, yeah, and ultimately after even risk treatment, yeah, there will be a residual risk remaining, and usually company, they even organize it in that way, yeah, that they report about the gross risk. Then they say what are they doing to mitigate, yeah, because that's the mitigation, and how they bring the risk down, and ultimately, yeah, the net risk or the residual risk is what remains. Yeah. And there is also a kind of KPI, which is exactly measuring what is the difference, yeah, between the gross risk and the net risk. Yeah. And of course, the bigger the difference is, yeah, let me say the gross risk is 100 and the net risk is 30, then this is a good indicator that the risk management is doing a good job. Yeah, if the risk reporting is like this, gross is 100 and gross risk is 100 and net risk is only 80, yeah, then the risk management department is not working at full with full efficiency or full effective. Yeah, that you have an idea. Yeah, yeah. When you think about the ISO 31000, yeah, we have here three core elements. Yeah, they name it like this, that they say we have a risk management architecture. Yeah, that's the committee's reporting structures, how you set up your structure in the company. Yeah, your risk architecture. Then we have the risk management strategy. That's how you deal with risk in general. Yeah, that means which risk policy you have in place. Yeah, for certain investments you have certain policies. They can be regulated in detail. Yeah, and they have also be very tailored to department needs. Yeah, it makes a difference whether you are in the supply, also in the purchase department or in the sales department. Yeah. So you have to set up here different risk policy. There is no such thing as one policy serves all departments. Yeah, that's not possible. Also, in terms of risk appetite, yeah, every department ultimately breaks down their own maximum risk appetite. Yeah. And finally, the third core element is the risk management protocols. That's exactly the processes, yeah, and the procedures. And here, yeah, you come up also with flow charts. Nowadays, it's yeah, quite, I would say, quite easy. Yeah. you have, for example, SAP. Yeah, that's an enterprise resource planning system in place, and then you embed here a risk management tool. Yeah, and then automatically you can define processes, you can define procedures, you can define workflows. Yeah, and then it's really embedded and it is automated, and the people, they cannot go wrong. Yeah, if they don't fulfill or don't fill in this or that, or don't report here to the customer, then they cannot deal with the customer. Yeah, so that's what here the risk management protocols shall do. But here, be always aware. Yeah, don't over administer that. Yeah, keep it as practical as possible so that it doesn't create that much more of work. Yeah? And whatever can be automated, you need to automate. Yeah? Because otherwise the risk management would not be successful. Yeah? If you put just additional burden on your organization in terms of administration, yeah, then the risk management is not really accepted. Yeah, and that you need here to know. Yeah.
Okay.
So now we can look here a bit more in detail into ISO 31000. Yeah, you see here, yeah, there. I tried here to come up with executive summary. Yeah, you have the risk management principles. That's your overall approach. Yeah, then you have the framework itself, how you plan, how you show leadership. Yeah, and you see here there are always these are let me say the chapters of the manual itself. Yeah, you just need to know the three main here risk management principles, the risk management framework, and the risk management process. Yeah, so that you have here an idea. Yeah, because it's always about the policy, it's always about the procedure, it's always about how you manage the daily application in terms of a risk management information system or even a risk management system itself. Yeah, it's about how you deal, how you produce the risk reports. Yeah, the risk appetite statement usually is also part of the strategic reporting within the annual report. Yeah, that's here what are the main elements are about. Yeah, you also don't need to know all elements. Yeah, if you say okay, 5 elements I know, then you say okay, it's the policy, it's the procedure, it's the information system, it's the risk report, it's the appetite statement, and assessment training. Yeah, that's also quite logic. Yeah, then you have already the main points. Yeah. Okay. And then you can also think about organization. Yeah, how you organize here the risk management. Yeah, of course you need the risk committee, you need the audit. Yeah, and so on. Here you have some further ideas that you can really anchor the knowledge of these terminology a bit more. Yeah, risk management policy. What do we understand by a risk management policy? Yeah. Here you can say, the risk policy is outlining here the aims and objectives, and it shall support the strategic objectives of the organization. It gives or outlines here the processes, procedures, and activities. It also gives you control policies. For example, health and safety is always quite important in any manufacturing company. To provide any accidents. And then of course you have to have a control policy also in place. How often you do a check? The check should be random. So for example, that here a supervisor regularly goes through the working hall and check here the workbench and do some observation, so that here the policies are kept and ultimately the safety is given. That for example enough safety clothes is available, and the safety cloth is still working. Yeah, if you have safety clothes which you have already there hanging, yeah, hanging there for several years and is already worn out, yeah, then this is not useful. Yeah, so it shall be always up to date. Yeah. Also, governance arrangements. Yeah. So, governance arrangement is who is responsible for what. Yeah. And ultimately, the overall responsibility shall be placed with a risk committee, which is independent. Yeah, so never place a risk committee beyond the CFO. That doesn't make sense. That would lead the whole governance ad absurdum. Yeah, so therefore, please independent. Yeah. You can do it here with, let me say, non-dependent external directors. Yeah, that they steer here the risk committee. Yeah, then independence is given, and ultimately the risk committee shall report to the board and shall only be, let me say, really ultimately responsible to the shareholder. Yeah, because the shareholder is the owner of the company, and ultimately they, they shall act here also in the best interest of the shareholders, not of the management, because it shall be also a corrective. A corrective to the management. Yeah, the risk committee shall also have an eye what is going on, what is the management doing a good job, because risk can also be a result or of the management itself. Yeah, if the management makes a wrong decision, yeah, then the risk is quite high to suffer a loss. Yeah, so therefore there must be independence. Yeah. Yeah, it's about the allocation of the roles and responsibilities. Yeah, and that's how you organize it. You are free. Yeah, there is no such thing that you need to do this or that. Yeah, it's up to your convenience how you organize it. Yeah, but ultimately it must make sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
So then the procedures, yeah, when you think about the procedures, that's here, going here alongside the communication, yeah, and consultation and monitoring and reviewing. Here it's exactly, yeah, you establish the context, yeah, in which context you are now evaluating or identifying a risk, yeah, which decision has to be made, yeah, and that's here the context, yeah, that's the environment itself, yeah, and then you identify the risk accordingly, you analyze, you evaluate, and you treat. That's really these 5 steps, yeah, you should really know by heart, yeah, because that's always useful, because in many contexts you can refer to this. Yeah. Yeah. Here we have also a short example. Yeah. For example, the risk management procedures, they include, of course, manual handling procedures. Yeah. For example, for a worker in the storage, yeah, how they have to carry, how to they have to lift objects. Yeah, it really goes in that deep. Yeah, that the procedure itself shall give you here an outline how you organize it, what needs to be followed. Yeah. Also, financial procedures. Yeah, is another example. Yeah, payroll procedures. Yeah, when you think about the payroll procedure, yeah, the one who is uploading the payroll or the one who is calculating the payroll must be supervised. Yeah, that everything is correct. The one who is uploading then the payroll for payment, yeah, is a different person, and then the approval of the payment itself shall also be carried out by a different person, so that you have here a segregation of duty. Yeah, then you are at the safe side. If you place everything, yeah, you handle the payroll and you do everything, yeah, then yeah, there can be embezzlement take place, because just imagine if just one person in your in your organization is dealing with the payroll, yeah, then they can even implement some fake employees with all datas, and the bank account is always directed to their own account, and then they pay additional salaries to themselves. Yeah, and yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that happened. It's really happening. That's not a joke. In several companies, such thing take place. Yeah, just imagine. Yeah, you have an organization with several hundred or even thousand of employees. Yeah, if you have one more or less,
Yeah, they can't notice.
yeah, you understand what I mean? And
Yeah.
the segregation of duty is very, very necessary. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and that helps ultimately here to control particular types of risks. Yeah. So then, which technology do we have? Yeah, so usually nowadays, luckily, we need not to do everything manual. Yeah, usually there is also an risk management software available. Yeah, and this is often, let me say, an integrated system where you can calculate the risk, evaluate the risk, and so on. And you can also define here a risk information dashboard. Yeah, and then it's called Risk Management Information System, RMIS. Yeah, so that you have here also this terminology. How do these system look like? Yeah, in big companies, they may be built in-house. Yeah, because they have special requirements. Yeah, and therefore they really program their systems on their own. Yeah, but others they just use already plug and play ready applications. Which are already standardized softwares. Yeah. Uh, of course, when you think about the risk management information system itself, it is expensive. Yeah, that's a drawback. Yeah, you need also to have the ability to manage it. Yeah, it has its own complexity to deal with. Yeah, that's like if you implement an accounting system. Yeah, the accountants they must be familiar how to deal with the accounting system. Yeah, so you have to train, you have to learn it. So therefore, it gives you some complexity. It comes with cost. Yeah, ultimately, it shall also pay off in the long run. Yeah, that's here the idea behind, because it reduces time. Yeah, compared to the situation if you do all manual. Yeah. Here at the left side, you see such an example with different icons, addressing here different issues. What are the main risks? What is the severity? So you can here use a lot of visual effects, to illustrate it. Yeah, and here it's also there is no right or wrong. Yeah, whether you organize it in a pie chart or as a graph or whatsoever, or a heat maps. Heat maps are very, very useful. Later on, I will also show you a heat map, which helps you here a lot. In a fast way. Yeah, to extract the essence of the risk itself. Yeah, you see here. Yeah, that's here. Yeah. It comes with then risk report. Yeah, usually when you think about this risk reporting system, then the outcome is a risk report. Yeah, that's here really that the management understands the exposure itself. Yeah, and you see here it gives you a list of key risks. Yeah, there's the so-called principal risks. Yeah. Then you see here what was the residual risk in a particular period. Yeah. First quarter, second quarter, third quarter, and so on. What is the trend? Yeah. How we control it? Yeah. Is there any critical issues open? Yeah. And also, who is responsible for it, and whether it has been audited or not. Yeah, and then you see the heat map to each individual risk. Yeah, whether it is high, as a residue in impact, and what is also the likelihood. Yeah, usually how likely is the risk and how severe is the risk. Yeah, and the higher the impact, the higher the likelihood. Of course, then it's red. Yeah, the lower the impact, the lower the residual likelihood is. It's green. Yeah, and then you see here also per risk. Yeah, you can also here figure out what is ultimately the result itself, loss, loss created, or here that you have also some savings, for example. Yeah. And it's also about that you follow up with a status, yeah, and that's then linked with a flow chart. Yeah. So, and when it comes to the risk reports itself, yeah, each department, of course, yeah, has its own risk report because it must be tailored. Yeah, a risk report, let me say, for the IT looks different with the cyber risks than for human resource. Yeah, and also the dashboard itself. Yeah, by drag and drop, you can organize it according to your needs. That's what the modern risk software provide you with. Yeah. Also, senior managers, they have a different risk report. Yeah. Also, the risk report which goes then to the board, yeah, and ultimately to the shareholders. The shareholders, they are not interested in the particular risk list. They want to have the principal risk. They want to have the value at risk figures for the big bullet points, and that's it. Yeah, and whether we are on track or not, that's it. Yeah. And when it comes to the frequency of reporting, of course, monthly, quarterly, annually. Yeah? Usually, stock listed companies, they do it on monthly basis for themselves. Yeah, they report to the stock exchange on quarterly, yeah, and annually basis. Yeah, that depends on the regulation. In Western countries, you need to report also quarterly. In Malaysia, I guess it's necessary to report just on annual basis. Yeah, that's here the risk reports. Yeah, then we also think here about an element of the risk framework itself. Yeah, that's the risk appetite statement. Yeah, the risk appetite statement gives you exactly the levels of risks which you are willing to take. That's the maximum, not more, not less. Yeah, and from the risk appetite state, if you want, that reflects in a way the gross risk, yeah, the maximum gross risk, and then of course you have sorry, it's the net risk. It's already the net risk, yeah, because that's ultimately the maximum in terms of loss you are willing to take. Yeah, so therefore it's the net risk. Yeah, the residual risk is limited by the risk statement here. Yeah? And you see here on the left side, you have also a short table here that you know how it is done in practice. I always integrate such examples because based on the examples, it's easier for you to understand and easier even to memorize because you have some kind of picture, yeah, to a risk appetite statement. Yeah, you have the range of the risk appetite, yeah, with low appetite, medium appetite, high appetite. Then you define what is the maximum impact which you are willing to take. Yeah, if you have a low appetite, maybe you limit just up to 25,000 or 100,000 ringgit. Yeah, this year are figures in euro. Yeah, but you can at any time amend it here to any currency. The risk management approach, yeah, accept as few as possible risks. Yeah, that's the low appetite. Yeah, if you think about high appetite, yeah, then it's very aggressive. You are seeking the risk, and whatever comes as an opportunity, yeah, often you don't even think twice. Yeah, you just take the opportunity, and therefore you are willing to take a high risk. Yeah, but always with the intention to get a high profit. Yeah, this is also the risk return trade-off we were discussing in one of our first sessions so far. Yeah. The risk statement itself, the appetite statement itself, can be a standalone document, but usually it is part of an comprehensive reporting. Yeah, when it comes, for example, to the stock listed companies, they of course come up with a public risk appetite statement as a part of their annual report. Yeah? And this is the official one, which you publish. And internally, of course, also the risk appetite statement has to be drawn up in each department. Yeah. And so you see, if you have, let me say, 10, 15 departments, then you have 10, 15 different appetite statements on the lowest level of your organization. And then you aggregate this risk appetite statement. Yeah. The published one is covering the principal risk appetites, not every single appetite. It's like if you cook a meal, then you have various ingredients, and all ingredients together gives you ultimately the nice the nice meal. Yeah, then training and awareness. Yeah, risk framework, you need to train your staff, and you have to explain them how to deal with. You start here always explaining what is the importance of the risk management itself. Why do we have it? Yeah, what's the purpose? Yeah, because if they don't have a sorrowful understanding, then they might say, they might think, oh, they come up just with another requirement. Does this never have an end? Yeah, they just overload us with work. No, you must really instruct them what is here. The value added more for the company. Yeah. That's here. And usually you can do this based on examples. Yeah. For example, that you here come up with a case, and then you analyze the case and say, okay, what was here the hazard behind? Yeah. What was the risk behind? Yeah. How do we deal with that? Yeah. How can we prevent such a thing? Yeah. The accident. How can we prevent this in the future? What do we need in order, as a forward-looking instrument? What steps do we need to take? So it's on a preventive basis, but also if such an emergency happens once again, what are our immediate steps? That we need to know. And of course, if such accidents happens repeatedly, or happens, or there is just a near accident, then of course also such near accidents, they have to be reported in order to have an input for improvement processes. And that's what is here also part of the training. And you should always repeat the trainings from time to time, so that you can reinforce the content of the policies and the procedures. That's here about training and awareness. Then let us look into the risk governance and its intertwined relations here with compliance arrangements. Here you see quite a complex GRC slide, or overview here with the points. You see here governance. There is a stream with the governance. What is governance here covering? Then you have in between the risk, and ultimately, we have the compliance. They are interrelated. One cannot work without the other. Governance is providing, let me say here, the statutory regulations, standard policies, and so on. Controls, contracts, and so on. The risk is dealing here with the system itself, so that you come up with a categorization how you deal here with the controls, which controls you implement, how you authorize the system, and ultimately the compliance. You must monitor what are the big risks and threats. You assess that you can do also internally. For example, internal audit is a big part of compliance. You audit here your systems, your processes, and so on. And you can also engage here external audits, so that you can develop here your system further. Ultimately is that you are compliant with regulations. Either the regulation is really required from law, for example, tax, you must be compliant with. So therefore, you have to draw up your tax declaration accordingly. You cannot just pass by. That's not possible. And also compliance with regulations which you decide are useful. So that's a kind of self-regulation system. And of course, when it comes here to compliance, you need also to do some reporting to regulatory bodies, so that you demonstrate here to be compliant. When we look here into compliance, for example, as a company secretary, you have MAICSA as your body, and therefore you have to fulfill also their standards. You have to be compliant with. Otherwise, you cannot. In Malaysia, it is the case. You cannot execute you cannot execute the duties of a company secretary. You must be registered. You must be also here. Now, how you say it? From SSM, awarded from SSM, that or registered with SSM, that you are exactly working as a company secretary for this particular company, and that has to be updated year by year. And year by year, you have also to show here your continuous professional development. You have always to go through trainings to keep your standards. That is, for example, compliance. That you see here, the thing. So specialist stuff. Of course, not everything you can do on your own in terms of risk. You need here also special skilled professionals who are helping you here in monitoring, assessing, controlling a wide range of risk. So therefore, for example, we have a responsible person for fire in each company. In each company, by statutory law, you are required here to name a responsible person who is in charge of any issues with prevention of fire, with dealing with risk, fire risk. The same is health and safety. You must have here a health and safety officer in your company. These are specialist, special trained or skilled people. Such in a big company, it's a full-time job. They are not really providing here or carrying here out duties which are value added. They are mainly here to maintain here compliance. With special regulation. In the aviation industry, it's quite tough. You need to have here inspectors that they check on the quality, for example, to be compliant with the quality standards and to be compliant then ultimately with the risk requirements. Because only you can, for example, source only screws. That's tiny parts from particular companies. Others, although they are identical, are not allowed to be sourced because they are not qualified. So therefore, that's quite tough here to fulfill. Here you see such an organization, because you see here also the setup of an organization, of a company, how they organized here, let me say, the risk management organization. It starts here. You have, of course, here a chief risk management officer. You have the board of directors, and then you see here what which members form part of the management risk management committee. You have a chairperson. That's the different person. That might be also a different person. Usually, of course, it's the chief risk management officer, but it can be also a different person. You have a vice chair. You have a secretary. You have here then the different domain risk officers. That means each department might have here its own risk management officers. So it's really from bottom up that it is covering here the entire organization, ultimately here to report then to the board of directors, as well as to the shareholder. Okay, risk committee. That's part of the game. Usually bigger companies, they for sure have a risk committee installed, and according to Bursa Malaysia listing requirements, I guess there is even the requirement that you have to install a risk committee in your organization.
Yes.
So what is the purpose? The purpose of the risk committee is, of course, to oversee and coordinate here the risk management framework itself on high level. And you see here what is included here in the purpose. To ensure that the risks are managed. To monitor the most significant risks. To balance here risk preferences. It's also the risk committee if there is a misalignment among the stakeholders, because ultimately the stakeholders, they are the one ultimately defining the risk preference and the risk appetite itself. And if there is a misalignment, one stakeholder says, I want to have 50% risk, the other 70% risk, you must find the compromise here. And here the risk committee can here mentoring that process accordingly. The risk management is also in charge that enough resources are available. You cannot do risk management if you don't have enough resources, because this is not just a job in between your break or whatsoever. It's really a full-time job. So therefore, you need to have here human resource. You have here also IT resources necessary really to carry out a proper risk management. You see here also small to medium-sized organizations, they may incorporate risk management into oversight into their audit committees, but of course if they don't have a risk committee, it's also acceptable. Here you have also an overview how it is organized. You have various committees in an organization. For example, we have a sustainability committee. Then you have here the risk management committee. This is participating and reporting here in terms of compliance, and also steering all the risk owners. Who is a risk owner? The risk owner is, for example, if you have currency exchange risk, then you place here the guy or lady who is working in the treasury management and is carrying out currency exchange. That particular person is the risk owner of currency exchange risk at the lowest level. And then, of course, it goes up the level up. Ultimately, the risk owner on the top level is the CFO of any financial risk. Just that you have here an idea. So you see here what is the risk committee doing? Updating the company risk profile and appetite, raise the risk awareness, establish policies for the risk management, and also to implement here processes and monitor the risk. The committee has a very comprehensive duty here on high level. Yeah, of course they address this then to the chief risk officer. The chief risk officer addresses it down, or delegates it down to the operational level, to the risk employee or risk assistants, or people dealing here with this issue. Another way is, for example, if you see here, you have the board of directors. Then you have the audit committee, and below the audit committee you have the risk management. That's also possible how you arrange it. For example, the audit committee, of course, is here assisted by internal audit. And there might be also a different department, internal control and compliance. Because internal audit is in general, over all departments. On randomly they can visit the department, and then they can check how they are doing their work, and then they report their findings. Then they give their recommendation how to improve. But it can also be internal control, that you have a separate department. They go really in deep and say, okay, you are compliant with regulation 7.5 of the aviation regulation regarding here foreign objects. And then they really check this. An internal audit doesn't go into that detail, because they are more on the level of the processes, of the procedures, and they observing if there are any deviation from the process is happening, what is the reason about, how it can be improved. Whereas the control goes deeper. And the risk management is, of course, also needs also information of these two departments. Because they need to evaluate what is happening. If let me say a wing in the aviation industry with the as an aerostructural component includes foreign object, which is a kind of, it can't be go down to small, just dust. That it is included. How it is affecting the structure of the wing. Because such inclusions in the structure are not allowed. Because they must every part must be checked. And even screened, and they do here. How you say it, ultrasonic testing to find out that this part is okay. Because there is so much risk behind. Just a tiny hairy scratch in a wing can ultimately cause that the airplane is crashing. That's ultimately the ultimate risk. And just imagine if this risk is evident, then of course the negative impact can be quite high. So therefore you have to take preventive actions. That's here so far. And therefore, when you overall think about what is the nature of the risk, the nature of the risk is, of course, can be or is, of course, very harmful, and can be disruptive. It can really lead that that you're out of business, and that nobody wants. And therefore, the risk committee has to take care that everything which you set up here in terms of framework, in terms of processes, in terms of dealing with risk is up to date. That's here how it works with the. So now let us look a bit more in detail regarding to the ISO. ISO, what is the objective? It is a set of international principles, universal, applicable. You can apply it in Malaysia, you can apply it in South Africa, wherever. It must be standardized on international level, and therefore, because it was already now invented or implemented some 50, 60 years ago. It is widely accepted in various countries and in various organizations. What are the topics? Of course, the topics you define here, the key terms. What is risk? What is uncertainty? What do we understand by risk management? It is dealing here with the importance of the managing of the risk, of the opportunities. Which opportunities do you have? Which downside might be the result of a risk exposure? How to deal with that? It gives you a basic principles. It gives you a guideline how you can here design, implement, and review your risk management framework. You have here a very, very comprehensive storybook or guideline helping here to deal with risk. What are the areas? Here, principle for the risk management, core elements, and the effective risk management. These are the topic areas. They name it like this. And the core principle is protect and create value. You should protect and create value in the organization. That's one core principle. Second core principle, if you want, is prevent of costly negative risk events. And of course, also it shall fulfill the strategic objective. Then you have here additional principles. It shall be structured, it shall be inclusive, it shall be customized, it shall be dynamic, it shall be responsive, it shall be integrated. But these are additional principles because they know it takes time that you achieve such a level. And to achieve a dynamic, integrated, responsive level of risk management framework takes a lot of time. It takes years. It is not done overnight and not done by ChatGPT in 5 minutes and then ready and go. It must be deeply embedded in the company itself. And the whole is also called enterprise risk management, ERM. They abbreviate here, and that's here also where the connects comes with COSO. So, guidance, establishing the context, establish the risk assessment, risk treatment. You see, that's a bit repetitive because we already heard, of course, we have to establish the context. In which context we are doing the risk management, how we do the assessment, how we treat the risk. And of course, they are supported here by 3 activities: communication and consultation, recording and reporting, monitoring and review. So if you just, let me say, memorize this, you should be already at the safe side because you have the core elements and you have also the 3 main activities which support here the core elements so far. Establishing the context. You have here some further detail. It's about the internal and external drivers, to identify them, to identify the types of risk and the range and scope. I just highlight here really and address here really the main information for you. What are internal drivers? What are external risk drivers? You see here, you have here organizational culture, workforce, open collaboration. These might be internal drivers. And then what can you do here to improve that? Orientation towards collaboration when it comes to the organizational culture. Flexibility, fair play. Just to give you here, that's already some examples under ISO what they understand here on by internal drivers. What are external drivers? Here a regulation and markets. Here, for example, implementing industry regulation code. You know, a lot of industries, they have their own rules. And also there must be some regulations how to penalize here unethical behavior of any partners. What are the do's and the don'ts of of an action, of the behavior in a specific industry. Funding restrictions, client feedback and so on. Client feedback, it's also about that you give constantly good client feedback within the life cycle process and so on. That you have here some ideas. Let us look here into the types of risks which are focused under ISO 31000. You know here the differentiation between systematic risk and unsystematic risk. That's also quite helpful in exam. Sometimes questions comes up, what are systematic risks, what are unsystematic risks, name a few and how to deal with it and so on. Then you can also refer to this slide here. You see, systematic risk, it's uncontrollable because it's outside of the organization. It's macroeconomic level. It's in general, interest rate. How much influence does an individual organization have to the interest rate? Almost none, because it is set by Bank Negara. Bank Negara, of course, in Bank Negara, it's not an systematic risk because they are the setting. They are setting here interest rates. Market risk. Purchasing power and inflationary risk. These are some examples of systematic risk. Uncontrollable. That's you memorize. What is unsystematic risk? It is controllable because it lies within the scope of the organization itself. It's microeconomics. Here we have business risk, liquidity risk, financial risk. That is quite easy that you can mitigate. Systematic risk is quite, it's mostly not really manageable. Not really mitigatable. Although when you think about the interest rate risk, you can take out the interest rate swap, and then you are hedged here against any fluctuation. But purchasing power, it's already a bit harder. Market risk in general, there is no such thing that you can really have here a mitigation. You can mitigate that you engage yourself not in one market, you engage yourself in several markets. Then you can mitigate your risk. But in general, it's uncontrollable. So far, any questions to this overview here?
No.
No. All clear. So far, satisfied with the information given so far? Because if anything from your perspective is missing, then please just point out, and then we can have here some discussion on it.
Okay.
You see here what is the range and scope of business. I tried here to summarize how it is often organized in terms when it comes to risk management under ISO. We have the business. We differentiate here in industry. That's here when it comes to manufacturing and so on. And we differentiate trade and commerce. And they use here the extractive, manufacturing, genetic, construction, assembly, and service as industry branches. And in terms of trade and commerce, we have trade and aids to trade. Inland trade, foreign trade, import, export, banking, transporting, insurance, blah, blah, blah. That's how they organized here the scope and the range, because under ISO, you must know, they are looking separately into the industry. They are looking separately, let me say, into the extractive industry. They look separately, let me say, when it comes to the banking industry. Therefore, they organize here the whole manual really dedicated to specific industries, in very, very detail. How is the risk assessment done under ISO? That's also repetitive now already. You see, establishing the content, risk identification, risk analysis, risk evaluation, and risk treatment. I just highlight this in brief because this is already repetitive. In general, you do this, of course, because it derives, or it comes even from ISO. In COSO, we will see a similar approach. There's in terms of risk assessment, there is not much difference. So therefore, yeah, when it comes to risk analysis, yeah, what might be important, you don't do only quantitative risk analysis. Quantitative risk analysis, of course, it's very precise, yeah, because ultimately you deal with figures. But you should also come up with qualitative risk assessment, but they are mostly subjective in nature. Yeah, and if there is subjectiveness included, there is no right or wrong. Yeah, you just give categories: low, medium, high. You decide what is low. You decide what is medium. You decide what is high probable and what is high impact. Yeah, because that depends also on the risk appetite. Yeah, risk appetite ultimately defines here such subjective assessments as well. Yeah, is it clear for you?
Yeah.
Okay, because I try really here to connect also the points with each other, because then it's helpful for you to have a holistic, or to develop or have a holistic understanding. Yeah. So risk assessment template. Yeah. In practice, they also ISO is recommending here to deal or to use risk assessment templates which are structured. Yeah. Yeah, how it is structured. Yeah, you have here also an idea. Yeah, you name the risk, you describe the risk, you give a probability. Yeah, how likely is it to happen? You give a judgment about the severity. So, how bad is the influence or the result if it happens? Yeah, and then of course, which actions to minimize the risk? That's the mitigation. Yeah, how to mitigate. And such a risk assessment template is already integrated, for example, in this risk management system. Yeah, when you have an IT system or a software, the software would help you, yeah, to deal with that. And then you just you have a template, a ready plug and play template. You can just send it out to the departments. The department fills in, and then you have already a collection of risks in your company later on to define your principal risks. Yeah, because that's to define the principal risk is a bottom-up approach. Yeah, you have of course to collect the elementary risks. Yeah, there might be hundreds of them. You cluster them, and ultimately you find maximum 7, 8 principal risks, and that is what you really report then on high level, yeah, in your financial report. All other remain within the company, yeah, within the departments. And of course, you have separate here reports, and it helps ultimately steering here your risk landscape accordingly. Yeah, you see here overall risk rating. Yeah, they also say here, or they recommend, at least 4 categories: low category, moderate category, high category, extreme category. Then you see what action you should take. Yeah, that's also a recommendation already. You can, for example, take this from the manual and integrate it in your individual risk management framework, which you have then in place in your company. Yeah? And also about reporting. What do you report? To whom you report? Yeah, in which detail you report? Yeah, and how? Yeah, that's also here given as a guideline. Yeah. Yeah, treatment options. When it comes to treatment options, which options do we have? Yeah, ISO is already mentioning. Yeah, you can avoid. The best thing is just avoid. Then you don't have a risk. Don't go into that market. You won't have negative consequences. Yeah. Reduction, mitigation. That's mitigation. Yeah. What can you do here to reduce the likelihood of the risk, and also what do you need to do to reduce the impact? So there are 2 avenue streams how to deal with the mitigation. Yeah, you can enhance here protocols, safety protocols. Yeah, you can improve here. Yeah, or you can invest here in redundant infrastructure. Yeah, for example, if you have a machinery, and the machinery, of course, is running 24/7, yeah, and you have to grant an output, let me say, of hundred thousands of pieces of a particular product. Yeah, and if this machinery is breaking down, yeah, you need to have immediate replacement. And some companies, of course, they can afford to have just a second machinery in place, just in case one breaks. So there is no risk of any interruption in production. Yeah, of course, that comes at the cost. Yeah, the cost to have a second redundant machinery in place, yeah, which you don't only use if it is really necessary. Otherwise, it's just standing around. Yeah, it ties up a lot of capital. Yeah, and this is regarded, of course, as cost, but ultimately it must also outweigh here the costs, so that it pays off. Yeah, sharing is always a good approach. Yeah, so you don't keep your risk on your own. Yeah, you share it, let me say, with another company. You form a joint venture. Yeah, that is a good example. Yeah, if you have a joint venture, yeah, that means both are sharing the profits, both are sharing also the losses, both are sharing the risks. Yeah, that's here one possibility. Yeah. Retention is ultimately, yeah, that you accept whatever is left. Yeah, you can also mitigate the risk in terms that you take out an insurance from a third party, and in case there is an accident or you face a loss, you will be reimbursed. Yeah, that is the easiest way in sometimes. Yeah, you can even, of course, take out an insurance for your company in terms of business interruption. Yeah, then whatever reasons lead to a business interruption in your company, so that you cannot do any business, yeah, then the profit which you would have made during the time of a standstill would be reimbursed by the insurance. Yeah, but of course, such an insurance can be quite costly. So just imagine if you are a very, very profitable company, and you earn here millions of ringgit, and you wanted to take out a business interruption insurance for these profits, in case there is such another COVID coming up, where suddenly 60% of the business is gone. Then, of course, such a insurance will be very, very expensive. Yeah. But some companies, they say, yeah, of course, well, we even think about that such things can happen. We take out. Yeah. I don't know what's your experience with this respect. Any experience?
I haven't gone in so detail at all.
Okay, it doesn't matter. Okay, it's fine. It's fine. Yeah, then taking advantage of opportunities. Of course, here ISO 31000 says that the management should not just focus on threats, but also on opportunities. Yeah, because some people, they think risk management is always about negative things. No, risk management is also about positive things, about opportunities. So just imagine, yeah, when you start, yeah, with an investment, yeah, and you do a feasibility study, yeah, then you have to collect a lot of information, yeah, and a lot of alternatives or opportunities, what to invest and how to invest, yeah, and then of course these opportunities you evaluate, yeah. So you actively seek, yeah. For example, if you want to grow, there is not just one way to grow your business. There are several ways, and all these several ways, yeah, they represent upfront opportunities. Yeah. So therefore, you have to seek for opportunities. Yeah. Yeah, enhancement. Yeah, you have to elevate the opportunities. Yeah, you have really proactively also to seek here. Yeah, and here you can also come up with a heat map. Yeah, that you say opportunities heat map. Yeah, how likely, how positive is the impact of this or that opportunity? Yeah, you can do it the other way around as well. That can also help you here a lot in decision making. Monitoring review, of course, you need. Yeah. Ultimately, it's always about risk appetite. Yeah, you always work within the organization's risk appetite and the risk tolerance, and it's always a proactive approach, proactively. So don't wait that something is happen. No, just anticipate what can happen. Yeah, and if you anticipate, you are proactive. Then you are prepared. Yeah, and in case something happens, it even gives you advantage because you are more resilient, because you can react much faster to a consequence. Yeah, these are the contingency plans in place. Later on, we will also hear about this in detail. Yeah, what's communication? Yeah, also ISO gives you some guidelines how to communicate, how you consult here. Yeah, you should engage, of course, with the stakeholder. Therefore, please relate back. Yeah, in one of the first sessions, we were dealing with this stakeholder mapping. Yeah. Stakeholder mapping is supporting here the procedure, how you carry out communication, to whom you communicate what, in which intervals. Of course, the more important the stakeholder is, the more you should communicate. That's here a general rule of thumb, which I can summarize here. Yeah. Which stakeholders we have, we already discussed. Yeah, there are several, and so you treat them individually or differently. Yeah, you should really uh, place an open and transparent communication. Yeah, so really, yeah, what's fact is fact. Don't hide anything. Don't put anything under the carpet. Ultimately, it would fire back. Yeah, and because why you need open and transparent communication? Because this is building trust. If you lose the trust, yeah, as a management, as an audit committee, as a committee in general, from your stakeholders, yeah, then there is no way. Yeah. Risk education that we already mentioned so far, in regular intervals, you should also upskill your employees and stakeholders accordingly. Yeah. Sorry, may I have just a short minute and a look into the mobile phone because it's permanently texting me just that I see what's going on, whether it's...
we can take a short break also if you know.
Okay, yeah, let me have a look. We have some, we can have a short break if you want. Then we make a short break because it's already going to be 9. Yeah, then we make a break of 5 minutes. Okay for you?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, then you can grab a cup of tea and then, of course.
Yeah, that will be good.
Yeah.
I will get some tea.
Yeah, see you in 6 minutes.
Yeah, sure.
But you need not to be so precise. Whether it's 1 minute up or down, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Just to make a joke. Yeah, hello, Lydia. Are you back?
Yeah, I'm back.
Okay, you are ready for the second part of the session. I saw that we went through roughly 31 slides, but there would be already some, yeah, in total round about 70 slides. Yeah, and yeah, let's look. Maybe we speed up a bit with the slides because they are often quite yeah, self-explanatory, and that we have some time for Q&As. Yeah, because Q&As, they are very, very important. We can do like this. Yeah. I show you the slide. Yeah. You tell me whether it's clear for you. Yeah. Then we can just dive quite quickly through these slides, and we focus then predominantly on Q&As in the second part of the session. What do you think about this approach?
Yeah,
Does it work for you?
I think so. Yeah, I think can.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, recording and reporting. You see, risk register and documentation here. ISO gives some rules also in terms of risk collection and data analysis. Shall be
Oh.
quite clear. Or,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
or do you have any questions here too?
No, because we also have a risk register in a
Mhm.
company, and we also have data collection, and we do analysis. But
Yeah.
this is part of our reporting. Just that I'm not the one doing it.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
usually in Malaysia, it's highly implemented this know your customer approach. Yeah, there
Oh,
you
yeah.
have to even collect data upfront before you even do business with that particular person. Yeah? You analyze it and so on. Yeah, and why you do this? You're not doing this just for fun to have a lot of data and maybe sell this data. Yeah, that would be even a data breach. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you use it here to mitigate risk. Yeah, that you evaluate what is the capability of that particular customer. Yeah, will you be paid if you service the customer? Yeah, that's here the overall question about. Yeah, then. Oops, what else do we have? So next one. Oops, now I try. Maybe I switch to the presentation mode, then I can easily. So, yeah, continuous monitoring. Clear. Yeah, here we have this act, plan, do, and check approach when it comes to continuous improvement. Yeah, because also this continuous monitoring is part of the improvement process. Yeah, how you do it? Yeah, as you know it from the financials, you know, key performance indicators. Yeah, we have the same also key risk indicators. Yeah, that's just a similar approach. Yeah, and that's recommended by ISO.
Okay.
Yeah, you review the effectiveness of the treatment. You review here the risk management framework. Yeah, you do documenting the monitoring, timely reporting, very important. Yeah, don't miss any deadlines. Yeah, and lessons learned, very important. Yeah, just to you have here the highlights. Okay, adaptation, clear. All right, to the changing context. Yeah, if the environment is changing, you should also change your system. And you should always involve the relevant stakeholders. Also quite clear. Yeah, then we have also, when it comes to ISO in UK, we have here based on ISO 31000, there is a British standard, and the British very innovative. Yeah, they just copy, mostly they copied and pasted the ISO and published it under BS 3100. Same procedure. Yeah, but don't laugh about Great Britain. Malaysia did it in the same way.
Well, why wouldn't they just use the same one? Why would they want to do their own one?
Yeah, of course. It's already, let me say, if a system is already working for several decades, yeah, why should you invent the wheel from the beginning if the wheel is already working? Yeah, that doesn't make sense. Yeah, I think they of course they seek the approval that they can do this. Yeah, and then of course ISO, the Germans, they always like Central European people. They always like to share knowledge. Yeah, so. Therefore, they didn't have any issue here sharing this.
Just adopting the ISO, you know, they could have just adopted the ISO.
Yeah.
So Malaysia also wanted to do their own Malaysian standard ISO.
Yeah, here you see the Malaysian standards. Yeah, adopted ISO as Malaysian standards, and yeah, the only difference is MS is standing in front. Yeah, ISO 31000, and they have they built it on the version 2010, and now they upgraded to 2020. In terms of sectors, some additional regulations came up, or additional guidelines came up. Who is administering? Yeah, the Department of Standards of Malaysia, and that's under the Ministry of Investment, Trade and Industry, the MITI. You have also here the link. Yeah, I provided here the link. So in case you want to go into more detail, what are the Malaysian standards about? Please have a look.
Yeah.
Okay, then we have the Orange Book. Yeah, the Orange Book also shaped, especially here in the UK, the landscape. Yeah, when it comes to the government of organization. Yeah. Organization and department. That's more on the public side. Yeah, more. It's not in the industry side. The Orange Book is here, addressing the issues in the public administration, public service and so on. Yeah, but they also similar approach, identifying risk, blah blah, assessing risk and so on. Yeah, sometimes they use just a different name for the same child. Okay. So, yeah, that's here. Yeah, I think the Orange Book, it's not that relevant for your exam. It can only be relevant in a case study if you have a subsidiary in UK, and you might here refer. But then you just mentioned there is Orange Book, and if it is a public company, or a government linked company, better. Yeah, it's more precise.
Okay.
Yeah. but the government-linked company to have a subsidiary in UK is almost, it's not thinkable. So therefore, doesn't have that much relevance for you here in Malaysia. Yeah, Institute of Risk Management, risk management. Yeah, we have also here a professional body, and they, of course, administering here the so-called best practice benchmark and help here organizations, in particular in Malaysia, to develop here risk professionals. And I'm, by the way, also member of this Institute of Risk Management. Yeah. It's similar of quality of MAICSA, I would say.
Oh, okay.
They give
you exam.
Huh?
Did you have to take a separate exam?
No. I need not. I didn't need. I need not to take the exam because at that time I was already an international certified ISO manager and COSO ERM manager, and they acknowledged, luckily, this certification, because that certification honestly is even much more comprehensive than what they offer. Yeah, so they just said, yeah, please welcome.
Okay.
Yeah, but they offer some trainings and upskilling and so on. Yeah, there is some gatherings. But it's not so active. Yeah, it's not so. So in my opinion, yeah, nice to have, but not really necessary.
Okay.
To sum it up in 2 words. Yeah. Then let's look into COSO. So what is COSO? What stands COSO for? COSO is the Committee of Sponsoring Organizations of the Treadway Commission. High sophisticated name, for a simple approach, I would say. Yeah, so therefore it was developed from the industry itself. Yeah, it is not a separate, it was originally not a separate body. Yeah, it was an organization. They form a committee and then they develop here, and their aim is to improve here the enterprise risk management and control system. You know, the Americans, they like a lot to control everything to the meticulous detail, and so therefore this framework is a holistic view, and it focuses that, of course, the risk activity shall not be siloed. It shall be an integral part of the organization. And they came up with a cube here, that they have here the pillars: strategic operations, reporting, and compliance. Yeah, and then they have here which activities they do, and of course also to which units it is applicable. That's what this cube is here illustrating. The last version is 2017. Yeah, therefore they worked and they launched it in 2018, and the original version was 2004. And you see here, what are the components? Yeah, these are the 5 components: governance culture, strategic strategy and objective setting, performance and review and revision, information and reporting. So they are more organized. What are the tasks and duties to fulfill within a company? Yeah? And therefore they organized here the risk management according to this activity stream, I would say. Yeah. You see, of course, they do here mission, vision, integration, strategic development, business objective formulation, and so on. Yeah. And then they have overall 20 principles. Yeah. So they regulate much more in detail. Yeah. What in terms of governance? Yeah. How a board, how you exercise board risk oversight, how you establish the structures and so on. Yeah. Strategic, how you analyze the business context. Performance, how you prioritize, for example, the risk. Yeah. Review, how you review the performance. And information, what you need to do here, risk reports on risk culture and performance. Yeah. Here, what you need to know is that there are, let me say, 5 5 task streams, with governance, strategy, performance, review. And then you have here the 20 principles arranged according to these 5 streams. Yeah, and the 5 streams are organized according to the value chain created in a company. Yeah, that's here pretty much that you summarize it in a few words. Yeah. You see here details. Yeah, with the details, I would leave you here because it's really repetitive. Yeah, organization shall well define blah 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 blah. Yeah, there is a lot of blah blah. Here, of course, helpful for your exam if you need to describe the COSO. Then, of course, you can pick here some bullet points from this slide, yeah, and put it in your own words. Yeah, that's how this slide shall serve you for the exam. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Read just one time through. Maybe it's even like this. Yeah. If we look then into a case study and the case study is covering the COSO, then of course this comes up once again. Yeah, because it is then anchoring that knowledge. Yeah. Performance component. Yeah. You see, identify the risk, the principles, 5 principles associated with the management of the compliance risk. Identify, assess, prioritize, implement. Yeah, that's always the same procedure, just slightly put into different words. Yeah. Yeah, you see here some examples. Yeah, they give here also some templates how you can work. Maybe you look here into the template. For example, how to approach for identifying the risk. Yeah, of course. Yeah, you do here data tracking, interviews, key indicators, process analysis, workshops, and then you say whether you have it already in place, whether it's new for you, whether it's emerging. And what is here the status about? And then you have here, for example, likelihood and occurrence. Yeah, you have a recommendation how to organize this: rare, unlikely, possible, likely, almost certain. What do we understand by almost certain? Almost certain. Yeah, if there are, yeah, in terms, this is existing controls, no controls in place. Yeah, of course, almost certain that there is a risk then. Yeah. That impact. For example, you have also here an example how you organize the impact of risk. Yeah, that's not only applicable to compliance risk, but here in particular it is chosen as an example. Yeah. Insignificant risk, minor risk, serious risk, disastrous, and catastrophic. And then they put what which legal background, what is in compliance. If it is insignificant and you are compliant, no issue. Yeah. Of course, if you catastrophic, you have a significant violation, criminal conviction probable. Yeah. What is the financial outcome? For example, 100 million loss. Potential disruption 1 month. Yeah. What is the reputation? What happens? Yeah, this comes from US, therefore it relates here to US. Also, COSO is working with this impact matrix. We name it heat map. They name it here impact matrix in a way. Yeah, you have the likelihood and you have the impact, and then you rate it, but you use similar or the same coloring. Yeah. Yeah. Risk responses, yeah, that's here some aspects. Yeah. Yeah, auditing. That might be interesting because it is helping here for executing the monitoring of a high risk area, and you have here several lines. Yeah, it's like the 3 lines of defense. Yeah, you have the management, the first line. Yeah, it's about here structures and to focus on structures and policies. Then the second line is also here monitoring and support. That is here carried out by the chief officer here. Audit officer who can carry out here in order to avoid here conflict of interest. And the third line is that there is an independent auditing from external parties. Yeah, and then you can also here arrange your revision of your system accordingly when it comes to auditing. Yeah, communication. Yeah, I would say pretty much the same as we already heard. Yeah, and here you have also some tables. They organize it always in tables. Yeah. Yeah, let us look into the COVID framework. What is COVID framework? Yeah, COVID framework is about that we have here an information system audit and control association driven governance system related to IT. Yeah, because it is information and related technology driven. That's the COVID. It's about here to effectively manage IT risks, I would say. Yeah, here we have also a framework. We have here 5 elements. That's the core governance principles, generic process description, control objectives, management guidelines, and process maturity models. Yeah, that's here how you can describe here the COVID. And you have here also, for further information, the link to this site, to this organization. Yeah. What are their principles? Meeting the shareholder needs, covering enterprise end to end. So effective IT risk is also, in their opinion, a holistic approach that covers really all the processes from the beginning to the end. Applying a single integrated framework. Holistic approach, I already mentioned so far. You see also some 5 principles shortly presented here. Generic process description. It gives you a reference models how you can arrange here your processes. Usually you see here in terms of governance domain, evaluate, direct, and monitor. And in terms of management domain, plan, build, run, and monitor. You see, they just put the same thing in their own words, a slightly different, so that they coin it in a way. That's all what is about. But if you come up here with your own words, it should also be okay that you say that is the main content. And they have here their own regulations. You see domain, what are the domains, what is the description, and what shall be the objective. Of course, it's always about the IT management itself, quality, suppliers. It's very holistic, but just seen from the lens of an IT administrator, because IT sees things differently, because they are mainly system driven, and they have then a very systematic approach how to deal here with the risk itself. Management guidelines, they also use here key performance indicators. And what is here important when it comes to control, here time lag between changes in the IT strategic plan and what is going on human level is here important. And also, for example, it's about to maintain quality, they have to maintain here a percentage of IT personnel which have completed here the entire professional development plans, and also how much time each person spent on training. That's here also regulated under the ICSA framework. Each model is based here. There are maturity models. The maturity models, I think that would be also applicable for the other risk approaches, for COSO and ISO, because this can be generalized. You see, maturity levels, non-existent. If you don't have any risk management, it's non-existent. You can have a very rudimentary and initial ad hoc risk management system. You can have a repeatable risk management, but on a very intuitive level. You do some risk management. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't do. With the gut feeling, you carry it out, intuitive. Then the 4th level, the mature level, is you have really defined processes. And the 5th, even more advanced, of course, is if you manage the processes really actively and you measure it. And finally, the most advanced one is an optimized one. So that you see here, I put it also in a term of in a graph here, that you see here the stages a little bit modified: initial, established, defined, adherence, and optimized. 5 stages, summarized in 5 stages. What are here what is a maturity model of risk management framework is about. Yeah, that's so far to sum up the slides so that we have still time now to dive into Q&As, and into case studies. So let me switch. Give me a time. Give me some short time that we see. So we can start. The summary syllabus we should do at the end. We can already start. Test yourself. That are, because test yourself and stop and think. They are, let me say, from the level, the easiest level is test yourself, and then it progresses here a bit in difficulty, I would say. So how would you answer, should every organization implement an identical risk management framework? And why? So how would you answer this?
Short answer is no, correct.
But in exam, you cannot just say no. That's a bit, because let me say, for such a question, they award you with 5 marks. So therefore, you should come up here with an answer. And you think you see here. Of course, the short answer is no. But ultimately, why it is no? Because different companies they work in different environments, and have different requirements, and of course a risk management shall always be tailored. So every company do things differently, so therefore you need here an adjusted risk management, and luckily, and that will ever remain like this. There will not be a system which is totally standardized for everybody. They always will give the managers or the organizations their opportunity to implement here. It's about to implement principles. So therefore it must be aligned with the structure and the reporting lines of the organization. The structure.
What is a high risk of one company may not be a high risk for another company.
Exactly. Such thing. Risk appetite is different. Risk reporting is different. Exposure is different. That's exactly what it is. Exactly. Then why should an organization follow the principles guidance in ISO 31000? Because as you mentioned, to be ISO certified costs a lot of money. Just imagine you need that an audit. I think annual audits are carried out, and you have then really to implement that. So you paid, even the auditor, you pay here fees, for this accreditation. It's like a kind of membership, but on a corporate level and expensive. So why should you follow the principles? What do you think? Upfront,
standardization,
standard, it's good, it gives you a good benchmark. You have already some guidelines where you can take out the best for you, because it gives you best practice. It also gives you a kind of gap analysis or action planning tools, how you can improve your system. So you have here quite also a comprehensive manual, how you can implement your or draw up your own risk management framework. You see here, identify gaps between current and good practice is helpful, because you have maybe something in place, then you look into ISO, what is best practice, then you immediately find out what is your gap, where you can improve. That's a quite fast approach, what you can do. Also, when it comes to action planning, they give you templates, and things like that. They really assist you. You can also book with them a consultancy that they help you particularly to implement here a risk management system, and then they do most work for you. Of course, that comes with a charge. Yeah, yeah, you see here benefits. Yeah, that's better performance. Yeah, improved effectiveness. Shareholder value should also be here improved. Yeah, because ultimately, if you organize efficient risk management, it leads to higher value added. So, what organization is the Orange Book aimed at? Yeah, forget about that. We can leave. Yeah, just because. Yeah. Explain how exposure to risk prevent an organization from achieving its objectives.
Well, liabilities, I suppose. If you are exposed to liabilities, then you have to keep on paying penalties. You might
Yeah.
suffer
Yep. Yep. Explain. Okay. Yeah.
financial losses.
Yeah, you see here, yeah, what can happen? Yeah, of course, when you have here a high risk to exposure, then of course, yeah, you might end up with a loss. Yeah, you might create accidents. Yeah, and yeah, reputation suffer. Yeah, reputation loss can be here a consequence. Yeah. What the risk exposure objectives do we have? We have business objectives, we have social and environmental objectives. Yeah, we have here also adverse consequences. Yeah, that's the financial loss, asset damage, fatalities, for example, operational disruption that you can mention here just to have some buzzwords. Yeah, and then you build some sentences around and you are fine. COVID framework, yeah, here it's also about why governance process is included as part of the COVID IT risk management framework. So COVID is part of the risk management, or shall be part of the risk management. Yeah, because of course the IT, the information technology, the information utilization and is driven by information technology. So therefore, it forms a huge part of the company. Almost every company uses software, uses applications, and therefore a high risk derives from, and this shall also be dealt with in a standardized way, and therefore you integrate it in your governance process, in your risk management framework. So COVID is, it's not COVID, it's COVID. Sorry, my pronunciation. It is an integral part of a risk management management framework. So don't forget about. Also regulate what's going on in terms of your IT infrastructure. It's also about server landscape. How you deal with updates. How often. What happens if your computer fails? How fast can you retrieve the information back and get back online? Just imagine, if you have a breakdown of your computer system in the company and the total company stands still. How fast can you recover? That's therefore here there must be processes and procedures to deal with that. You implement your stakeholder focus review audits and so on. That's here what this is about. Then let's move on to the where do we have the next one? Stop and think. That's more of a reflection. In the book you will find these stop and think, but without any questions addressed and also without any solutions. So therefore, to have here more insight, I also provide here some suggested answers. Here, how prescriptively do you think an organization should use risk management to control risk management decisions of its employees and managers? Should the level of autonomy be limited, or should decision makers be allowed some discretion? Here it's about what the size of delegation you apply, how far you empower here the individuals. it's also about how centralized or decentralized you drive your risk management system. Yeah? Should the type of organization implement equally prescriptive frameworks? Consider, for example, a nuclear power plant versus an organization that engage in research and development. Yeah, then we have some two extremes. Yeah? Yeah, because then you see, okay, of course, with a nuclear power plant, yeah, we have high risk, and high risk
it should have high controls.
Exactly, you say it. Yeah, it's high. It needs high prescription. So therefore, yeah, minimal autonomy is allowed. Yeah, don't allow them to do anything which is not in any manual. Yeah, otherwise we have a super GAU. Yeah, I don't know whether you say it's super GAU here. It's the extreme accident which can happen.
Oh, ours is like you might have a bomb, I suppose.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Only two super GAUs happens worldwide since nuclear power was used. It was Fukushima. Yeah, but that was driven. Let me say, not as an explosion. Yeah, it was a result of a natural disaster. But we have also this Chernobyl. Yeah, in Russia, and that was really very severe. Has still today
dormant. Sorry, not dormant. I mean, the whole town is still like a ghost town.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the Privyet, it's called. Yeah. And all the animals there, they are mutated already, and horrible. Yeah, and you cannot even enter this region. Yeah, it's very dangerous. Yeah, and it will be contaminated for the next I think 10,000s of years. Yeah, because the radiation only reduces, I think, in over 1,400 years. The radiation will just cut in half. Yeah, and that takes then, let me say, or reduces by a certain level. So it takes really a lot of time until this disappears. Yeah. Yeah, when we think about the R&D organization, R&D is about development. There you need a lot of freedom. Yeah, you have to empower here the people. You need to give them flexibility, and you give them here high autonomy. Why? Because they must be creative. If you regulate them or regulate them, then you kill the creativity. Yeah? And if you are an inventor, you cannot give them instructions. They come up with their own ideas. Yeah, that's what they are for. Yeah, okay. And they are very fast in adapting to changes. They are the one inventing something new and adapt and trial and error, so that here a new development is the result. Yeah. Yeah, you see here, I put it here in a kind of also a chart, that you see different industries. Yeah, nuclear power plant, prescription, 95%. Yeah, financial services also quite high, 75%. Manufacturing, 60%. Here you can give already more. R&D, lower. Creative agency, like a marketing agency, therefore you should have low prescription and give them a high autonomy. Otherwise, no creativity, as mentioned. So stop and think. Access the annual reports of 2 quoted Malaysian companies of your choice. Find the selection on risk appetite and compare the statement made by these 2 companies. What might explain any similarities or differences? And just, do I have here? Yeah, I have here an answer, or no? Give me a second. Should have. Yeah, note UK require including blah blah. Yeah. Where to find stock exchange annual report governance pages? Yeah, here some similarities. Yeah, it's just in general. Yeah, I didn't do it precisely on two companies. Yeah, you look into the industry. Yeah, you think about what is the risk profile, what is the regulatory environment about. You also look into their business model, into the corporate culture and the market conditions. That is explaining here, or is here comparing the factors itself. Yeah, and then you take here a comparison. Yeah, you look here what is in terms of the risk tolerance. Yeah, banking, for example, risk tolerance very conservative. Yeah, if you are a tech industry, yeah, for example, fintech, yeah, then you must be moderate till aggressive. Yeah, what about strategic risk? Yeah, they are carefully managed here, yeah, in the banking industry. Whereas in a tech industry, in a no startup, for example, it's just actively pursued. Yeah, whenever it comes up, they deal a bit, and by coincidence, then even the strategic itself will be the result, and then they see which risks they are dealing with. Innovation, yeah. Banking, limited appetite. I saw also in Malaysia, still they use paper forms to fill in. I don't know. Stone Age, yeah, but carefully managed. No doubt. No doubt. Yeah, in other companies, of course, they have here, yeah, they do it really up to the latest standards. Compliance focus, primary focus, yeah, is here, and in a tech company, it's important, yeah, but in a way, it's here balanced, yeah. The tech, they are even taking some risk, yeah. Of course, they are also not exposed to that tight regulation, so therefore, compliance is not so important compared to banking. Yeah, banking with this whistleblower and with this anti-money laundering and anti-terrorist financing regulations, that might be quite tedious here to fulfill. Yeah? Although, yeah, also has a lot of improvements. Yeah, just imagine. There are a lot of bank accounts, yeah, in held with Malaysian banks, and they definitely are used for scams. So
Yeah.
how can it happen that this is allowed? Usually there shall be a know your customer approach, and usually these are even some foreigners, even sitting, let me say, in some African countries, but they maintain an account here. How can this be happen?
Yeah.
You understand? That's here. Compliance also needs to be tightened, in my opinion, much more when it comes to banking. Really, to target the right people and not to target innocent people and make life miserable for them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Disclosure level, comprehensive, whereas tech moderate. Yeah, that's just to give you here a highlight. So then, for an organization that you know well, see how much you can find about its risk management framework. Information can be provided in the annual report. Many public sector organizations and some charities publish their risk management policy or similar documents online. These policy documents are likely to contain information on risk management frameworks. Yeah. Here you see what is the outline, yeah, the policy itself, the risk appetite, the structure, the identification. Yeah, these are here the passwords. Yeah, I memorized, I summarized here, yeah, that you see here the fast understanding. Yeah, framework components, the policy, the appetite, the governance, the identification, mitigation, monitoring, and compliance. Yeah, that's all covered by a framework. And then, of course, you have the policy itself. You have the statement, the risk statement. You have the governance structure. Yeah, how hierarchical or how flat the organization, the governance structure is, or it is a kind of matrix. Can also be. Yeah, how you identify, assess, and so on. Yeah, here some passwords. Yeah, then identify 5 risks that affect an organization in which you are familiar. consider how here exposure of risks might threaten the achievement of the objectives, determine the effect of these threats, and also reflect how changeable these risks might be. Do they require continuous monitoring? Yes or no? Here you see, okay, what 5 risks affecting a retail organization. We have economic risk. What is economic risk? Fluctuation and so on. What is an economic risk? Is it a systematic risk or an unsystematic risk? Can it be controlled or it cannot be controlled? That's here how to link it. Supply chain risk, cyber risk, competition risk. Wow. I'm talking already that my tongue is already a knot.
It must be really tiring for you.
I really feel it. I think I should drink some water. Relax the tongue. It's really already a bit dry. Sorry. Competition risk. Then we have the regulatory and compliance risk. What is the impact, or what are the impacts to the objective and performance? Of course, if you look, for example, to the cybersecurity breach, then of course you lose trust with your customer. And then you might even lose here your reputation. To leak data is also a serious crime, in my opinion, because you cannot sell here the identities of other people and make business out of it. But it happens. Continuous monitoring, of course, very important. That you have always to keep up with the development of the risk itself, especially when it comes to the economic risk. Economic risk as economic fluctuations. You monitor. What is going on in terms of interest? What is going on in terms of business growth, in terms of GDP growth? What are the conditions in an industry? What are the conditions in a country? Because that, of course, shape also investment decisions. If there is a high inflation, what happens to my product? Can I really always also increase here the prices of my product? Will I be still competitive? Because these are factors driven from external sources. What is the consumer spending? Statistical. We have in Malaysia the DOSH. They provide a lot of statistic. It is important to know what is the consumer spending, how strong is the consumer spending, because that ultimately opens or closes here markets. That's here. You see, I tried here a retail company. Economic risk, the likelihood quite high, impact quite high. Supply chain, likelihood a bit lower, impact might be also high, 80% roundabout. Cybersecurity, likelihood 50%, because nowadays the companies, they are already quite good prepared for cybersecurity. Impact, in case the risk will occur, then the impact is high. Competition, I've really likelihood 80%. Just to have an idea here. And then you see here, what is the risk? What is the threat to the objective? What is the performance impact? And what is recommended to do? You have here with this table, you can also use, of course, in the exam tables to explain. That you summarize. As a summarizing tool, a table is always good. Because then you can say, now I'm ready, and then below the table you give just some few sentences explaining what is this table about. So, for example, we deal with the economic risk. The economic risk, of course, ultimately has a high impact to the revenue and to the profitability of the company. And to be precise, of course, if you have a downturn in the general economic strength of a country or of an industry, then the result is reduced sales, reduced margins. You have to act, and What do you need to do? Such things, of course, you have to monitor continuously. Yeah, whereas regulatory, you set up and you do it periodically, just to have an idea.
Okay.
Yeah, to what extent is it possible to use the COVID framework for non-IT risks? Does the framework provide useful insights for developing risk management frameworks more generally? Can you find examples of the use of the COVID framework for non-IT risks on the internet? Yeah, here I would also go to the slide. Yeah, you see. Yeah, applicability, of course, IT. Yeah, when you develop here a framework from the IT COVID source, yeah, you can also use it for non-IT purposes. Yeah, risk identification, pretty much the same. Control designs. Yeah, it's a bit less applicable, but still. Yeah, you see here quite a high scoring. Yeah, so therefore you can, to sum up, of course, it's even useful to use also COVID framework as a guideline for managing non-IT risks as well. Design, implement, review, enhance. That's in general the cycle how you deal here with governance. It all. What are transferable elements? Yeah, the governance and management objectives are transferable. Controls and risk mitigations are transferable. Identification, assessment is transferable, and performance management measurement can also be transferred. Yeah, can be applied where governance, alignment, structured risk. Yeah, and what are limitations? Yeah, designed specifically. If you have a specifically designed for an IT domain, then you cannot generalize it. Yeah, and of course, in some areas you need to tailor, and it might not even cover all the non-IT risks. Yeah, there might be industry specific gaps as well. Yeah, just that you have here an idea and also some passwords. Yeah, you have here also some text, some 1-2 sentence to each password. So far, yeah, that would be stop and think. Then let us look into a case study. Maybe we go into the holistic case study. Yeah, that gives you here the most comprehensive insight. That's really, quite a holistic one. Yeah, because frameworks, they are umbrella. Yeah, we heard today. Yeah, it's the umbrella of your risk management system overall. So it's very comprehensive. Therefore, I came up here even with a table of content. You see here 31 pages, whereas the case study questions cover here 8 pages, and then you have also a mark allocation. That's for 100 marks. I don't know. You can. It's designed to deal with that even, let me say, 90 minutes or so. Yeah. In exam, you have only a size of a case study half the scope. Yeah, but I did it comprehensively so that every aspect is covered. Yeah. So here we have next generation digital Berhard. Sandra and Berhard. Building risk management framework for a fintech company. Yeah, you have here the background, quite temporary, contemporary. Yeah. You have here the background of the fintech company itself, because fintech is gaining much more importance and is even, let me say, competing now with the traditional banking, and here is growing at a much faster pace than the traditional banking is. Yeah. Although, they are not that much regulated. Here we need also more regulation. So you have here the background. Yeah. Yeah, you see here, Bank Negara supervises operations. Yeah, there is this Financial Service Act, yeah, Anti-Money Laundering Act. Yeah, but the regulations are not so tight. Yeah, security commissions, they are regulating here peer-to-peer lending and robo-advisory. Yeah, robo-advisory, for example, they are part of this fin technology. I really give you here the details, but you don't need that. It's just that you have the picture behind. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then when you have the picture, you have here some strategic objectives. Yeah, what they want to achieve here. The following strategic objective for 2026 to 2028 are here in the pipeline. They want to achieve profitability because they are still not profitable. You will read it. You will figure it out in the data. They have a net loss of 12 million, so they want to become profitable by the end of the fourth quarter of 27. Yeah? And they want to grow e-wallet. And there are some 6 objectives listed. And then you have the situation. And the situation already describes that there is right now an absence of a formal risk management framework. That means, yeah, this case study is aiming at how would you implement a formal risk management framework serving next generation digital. That's here the overall idea of this case study. Also about, you have already a shortcoming described inadequate risk governance. Yeah, so you have here also the structure. There is some information about the audit committee, but obviously it's not adequate. Why it is not adequate? Yeah, that you have to find out, and then you have to come up with a suggestion how to improve here the risk governance. Yeah. Then another issue they have is fragmented risk reporting. They do a bit risk reporting, but here and there, yeah, everywhere, but here and there, and not in a comprehensive, integrated manner. Yeah? Then also they don't have a proper training in place. Yeah, because usually, especially when it comes to anti-money laundering and counter the terrorist financing. Yeah. There need to be carried out a lot of training. Yeah? Then you see also a list of recent risk events. Yeah, what is a risk event? Yeah, that's what already happens and what had a negative outcome. Yeah, and you see here that's also for you to have an idea. Yeah, how another question in exam can also be, how do you organize, or how can risk events described accordingly? What are the drivers? Yeah, then you can always organize it the course according to that. Yeah, that you describe what is the risk event itself about, what is the root cause, yeah, where does it come from, what is what is the reason, and what was the impact. Yeah, and you see here they have a data breach. Yeah, 12,000 e-wallet customer records, personal data were leaked in the dark web. Yeah, and what was the root cause? A third-party cloud was used. Yeah, they didn't work with their own servers. Yeah, a lot of companies nowadays, they put all in the cloud. They put all in the cloud. Yeah, is it secure in the cloud? Yeah, even I would assume that the risk to have something in the cloud to be leaked is much higher than you operate your own server structure. Because your own server structure, you fully control. The cloud, you don't fully control. Yeah, that's here the difference. Yeah, and what was the impact? And in this case, yeah, when you work with the cloud, yeah, yeah, of course you can say, oh, it's not my fault. It was the cloud server, the provider. Yeah, but in terms of impact, in terms of fine, that doesn't count, because you are the one. You need carefully select your third-party providers. Yeah? So in this case, Bank Negara issued here a formal supervisory letter, and they got also a fine of 500,000 ringgit. Yeah, that has significant negative media coverage and resulted in an 8% drop in new user registrations for 2 months. So therefore, yeah, you have now the description. Now you can even rate here. What is the impact? Is serious? Is high? Is catastrophic? Yeah, such a thinking you should here develop when you deal with the case study. Yeah, just to give you here. Yeah, then you have the list of the reason. Then also some additional information. Yeah, what are risks identified by the preliminary assessment? Yeah, of course, they had some assessment. They had here the risk catalog. Yeah, for example, they listed the cyber risk, the credit risk, regulatory risk. Yeah, you have the description. Yeah, what you have also the negative potential impact. Yeah, what can happen and what is the actual control state. Yeah, so how they managed it so far. No enterprise and no enterprise-wide cybersecurity framework aligned with Bank Negara's RMIT guidelines is in place. They have some cyber security framework, yeah, but it is obviously they have a lot of loopholes in a way. Yeah. Yeah, then what are the stakeholder expectations? Yeah, so you have here stakeholder, the shareholder, the regulators, the customers, the employees, yeah, the technological vendors. Yeah, and you see, yeah, what they want. Yeah, they expect the shareholder strong return, of course, regulator, robust framework, customers, secure, reliable services, yeah, employees, yeah, ethical, safe, and ethical environment. Then you have a comparative case study, and then all the questions come along. Yeah, that's here very, very comprehensive. But if you deal one time with this case study, then you really you learn a lot. Yeah, because you dive deep into the practice of risk management framework design. Yeah, in this case. Yeah, and also what is the risk governance and the role of the committee. Yeah, you see here, explain why the current situation is more informal and intuitive. Yeah, you see, if it is informal and intuitive, you automatically think it shall be formal, yeah, and standardized or automated in a way. Yeah. What can you do? Of course, you can here work alongside the ISO rules, yeah, to update your framework. Yeah. Question 2 is this. Question 3 is about the risk statement and the COSO ERM framework. Yeah. And then we have IT governance and COVID and the monitoring and improvement. Yeah, and you see here, that's total marks 100. Yeah, and here you have the model answers. Yeah, that you can really look into what is applicable. You see here key frameworks referred to: ISO, COSO, COVID, regulatory context, Bank Negara, the Securities Commission, then the Malaysian Code of Corporate Governance, then this BDR, that's the personal data, and the Cyber Security Act, even the latest edition 2024, this the solutions are referring to. Yeah, then you see here which question allocates how many marks. Yeah, that's not that important so far, but you have then the questions, of course, and then you see questions. Yeah, and then you refer here. What is the scale on complexity about? Yeah, and you see that they have so many transactions. Yeah, they operate 3 business lines. Yeah, you describe what is the present status about and what is the problem. Yeah, in this case. Yeah. Inconsistency across the organization. Yeah, that's a main issue. Yeah. they have a two-speed approach. Yeah, the technical division is very, very advanced, but in the marketing division, they don't have that much. Yeah? And this is inconsistent, let me say, with 31,000. Yeah? And you see here, you can then refer it to the relevant risk, yeah, and relate it, because you have to back up why you are in the opinion that there is an inconsistency. Why there is a high, what are the consequences of this informality? Then you can say, it is informal because of this and that risk event which happened. But that you can do in just 1-2 sentences as well. I tried here really to repeat it so that you have here a guideline how you approach the answers. Key framework. What are the 3 core elements? Then you mention here the 3 core elements. Board Risk Management Committee. Establish a standalone committee comprising at least 3 independent non-executive directors, meeting quarterly, with ad hoc sessions as needed. That is already, let me say, how you can apply here this risk management architecture. That's already what needs to be improved. Chief Risk Officer. Appoint the Chief Risk Officer. If you find in a case study that there is no Chief Risk Officer, then you can always recommend, please. Because that this stuff is then driving the risk development further, risk management development further. Reporting lines, clear escalation pathways from operational risk owners. Operational risk owners are always at a department level. And usually the operational risk owner is nominated by the department head. Whoever leads the department is also the risk owner of all risks happen or all risk relevant to his or her department. And then, of course, it must be here aligned with or reported to the Chief Risk Officer and to the committee. Company secretary, what is the purpose? Of course, to support here governance arrangements. Also the company secretary in terms of the risk here, is giving advice, is facilitating information flow. And is here dedicated to look whether there is some compliance with whether there is compliance with the Malaysian Code of Corporate Governance. But you know, the corporate governance code is also not mandatory, but I always think about companies shall achieve best practice. All what is below best practice is not really good. You see here, a lot of things. I would really recommend you, maybe you can read through, and whenever you pick out the case study, which is here really exemplified in great detail, and you have questions, then we discuss these questions. We can do this even in a way that we schedule an extra session when we just clarify questions which you have to existing case study presented. What do you think about this approach?
I think that's good. Like I actually prefer today's session where we spend not so much time on the slides, but spend a bit more time on the stop and think and the question and answers, and that helped me sort of understand this topic in a more practical sense.
Okay. So you see here, that's the case study. It's 32 pages. Just the case study. A lot of students would say, "Oh, that's overwhelming." You need not to go through all details. Sometimes it's just that let me say you do a helicopter flight over, so that you have an idea. Yeah, that you have an idea what this is all about. Yeah, what is the purpose? Yeah, what is the purpose and role of the risk committee? Of course, consistency. Of course, monitoring. Of course, balancing shareholder references. Often it's just that you really look here. Of course, keeping here looking into the cost efficiency. Yeah. And so on. Yeah, sorry, that's the next. Sorry, this ensuring adequate resources. And you see here it's linked. Yeah, what you need also to understand in the case study, when you come up with a theoretical point, yeah, just as that you say the purpose of the role of a risk committee is to ensure adequate resources. Then you say, and in this case, referring to this case means that the board has in this case allocated 3.5 million. Is this enough? Question mark. Yeah, that's how you relate always points to the case study itself. Yeah, and then you say, they must have enough money. In this case, to carry out the task properly. So therefore, they must allocate specific resources. It's not only always money wise; it's also that they have to appoint human resources accordingly. That they have, we need 5 manpower to ensure to drive here the risk management on risk committee level. So that you say minimum members of the risk committee shall be this. That's how you really work here with the case studies. Yeah, what I want also to look here into, because you said questions. Yeah, let us look. I'm already a bit slow now. Test, stop, summary. Yeah, Q&A answers. Yeah, I just go here immediately. So let us just pick here. Yeah, framework components. Yeah, you see here. Describe the role of specialist staff in supporting an organization's risk management framework. Identify at least 5 types of specialists and explain their contribution. That's quite a nice question. Yeah, because it's a question which applies knowledge. Yeah, then you can say, what is the role in bullet form point? Yeah, what is the role of a specialist staff in the risk management? Yeah, so you say, what shall they do? What is a specialist staff? Yeah, they provide deep expertise. They focus on resources for systematic continuous risk management. They deliver independence and objectivity. Just a few points that you have here. They facilitate here coordination. That's in general the role of a specialist. Because whenever you have a question, always read very carefully. What are the components of the question? Describe the role. So therefore, describe just the role. Then, of course, different types of specialists. Which types? That's the next point. And their contribution. And then you say, one specialist is the chief risk officer, leads the enterprise risk management function, reports to CEO or board risk management, oversees the development, provides independent challenge, chairs the enterprise risk management committee, presents consolidated reports, develops and maintains risk appetite statements, establishes risk culture and promotes risk awareness. Then we have the enterprise risk manager that coordinates the day-to-day management. That's here, yeah, the guys and ladies, they do really the hard work, yeah, because they maintain the risk register, they consolidate, they aggregate here information, they facilitate identification workshops, yeah, because you must gather here a lot of information. How can you gather information? Yeah, that you schedule here workshops, that you schedule meetings, yeah, where the discussion takes place and where notes are taken, and out of these notes you develop that. Yeah. Also about scenario planning, yeah, that is really then done, yeah, with calculations, with reports, with heat maps. Yeah, they really come up with a heat maps. They draw it up. They maintain the dashboards and so on. Yeah, that's the enterprise risk manager. Then we have the chief information security officer. Yeah? In some big companies, of course, you have here a separate yeah, chief information security officer. Yeah? You have also a chief compliance officer. Yeah? There are a lot of roles. Head of internal audit, you can describe. Data protection officer, you can describe. Yeah? Business continuity manager, you can describe. Yeah, just think. Yeah, and with business continuity manager, you can also you have immediately an idea what is the job profile of such such a person. Yeah, of course, manage operational resilience. It's about resilience, business continuity. Yeah. Disaster recovery plans, yeah, shall be in place. Continuity plans, yeah. Impact analysis, yeah. Business impact analysis is also here a technical or an independent discipline which is carried out in terms of risk management. Yeah, such things. Health and safety officer, also a separate role. Yeah. Then finally, you have any other specialist roles? Yeah, that depends on the organization. Also, credit risk manager, market risk manager. That's even more specialization. The bigger the company, the more specialized the roles. And of course, you can even have a fraud risk manager. And ESG risk manager, climate manager. So what is the value added of this specialist staff? Yeah, they give technical advice. Yeah, they dedicate here resources. Yeah, because they exactly know what needs to be done. Yeah, and they do it in a systematic way. Yeah, it's not by coincidence. It's not just ad hoc. Yeah, they have a scheme, yeah, how they carry out here their duties. Independence from business units. Yeah, so it is not just enough that you say to a production manager, please carry out also the role, let me say, of the ordinary, yeah, the enterprise risk manager is already enterprise level. Yeah, the operational risk manager. Yeah, for example. Yeah. That you cannot do because you need a separate person, because it is, in my opinion, if you do it right, it's a full-time job. Yeah? And when you think about all these risk issues, of course, in practice, I would say in the banking industry, the risk is most widely implemented. Yeah. Whereas in general, in other industries, it's not so embedded. Yeah, if you think about, let me say, in the SME sector, yeah, hardly you will find such structures. One person, maybe, yeah, based on task, covers it all. Yeah, but you understand that can be just on a very, very surface level. Yeah. Yeah. Ultimately, it's about that also these specialists, they maintain professional networks and certifications, yeah, because they shall also upskill and bring in new knowledge into the company. It's not enough, yeah, that they once do this one setup and then they operate it and they never change it. It's also about a year, yeah, to do upskilling. Yeah, that's so far some ideas. Yeah. And then you have here, that's the fastest approach. Yeah, that's passwords. Yeah, in this case, already the passwords, now the bullet point answer is already very comprehensive. Yeah, And then, of course, you have also here really a detailed description, a narrative description to each point. Yeah, if you have some time. And this kind of paper is meant to use for super learning. Yeah, here it's really a good approach that you use this read out loud function. Yeah, and you just do your cooking, you do your laundry, yeah, you even do a nap, yeah, where you're in half sleep, yeah, but in the background this detailed narrative answer is running.
Okay.
Yeah, if you do this unconsciously, your brain is absorbing information.
Yeah.
And even the best way is, because this I learned already when I was 15 years old, because we had very advanced teachers already in our secondary school and so on, and they taught us such things. Yeah, at that time they said, please draw up a paper, write the paper, then you have also a cassette recorder. At that time, only cassette recorders were available. Record what you have written, and then in the evening when you go to sleep, you let this run and just fall asleep. In the morning, your brain has already absorbed some knowledge. And if you do this, let me say 2-3 times, then as there is a proverb, yeah, God is giving knowledge in sleep, while you're sleeping. Yeah, and that's exactly the technique how you can realize this. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and some they do it even like this. Yeah, because we are different types of people. Yeah, some people they are mainly capturing information by visual effects. Some they are more on the listening side. Some they like more reading. Others they absorb situations by having let me say a kinesthetic experience. Yeah, they have a nice environment around. They feel comfortable. Yeah, or there is a nice smell of a tea around. Yeah, and they have some olfactorian experience. All these experiences help to learn or help to absorb knowledge in our brain. So therefore, it would even be the best, yeah, that for example, with one you listen to the text itself, then maybe you have your special music which you like the most. Then in the background, you even switch on this music, because if you have this music, also by music, the information is penetrating the brain in a much faster way.
Yeah.
Yeah, that you can do, and then you have maybe some nice tea with a nice smell, and you are cozy, comfortable in a chair. Yeah, then learning is even joy. Yeah,
Yes.
you know.
Yeah.
And if you do this, you learn double as fast as if you just do. Oh wow, now I have to learn. I don't like. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I know.
Yeah, because often learning is not a enjoyable experience. It's hard work, but it need not to be hard work. Yeah?
Yeah.
If you arrange it in that way, I really promise it's an easy task, and that you can do in every subject, because that's unlimited. That's how this super learning technique is based, yeah, on brain, let me say science, yeah, because they investigated how the brain is learning, yeah, how information is absorbed, yeah, and it takes of course some time, yeah, because your synapses, they have to rewired, yeah, and of course this rewiring is stimulating by any good experience. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I think you didn't learn about that, or
Not so much.
not so much. Yeah.
Yeah. Just a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, just a little bit. Yeah. Yeah, you see here, when it comes then, the third format, Yeah, because also people, they like it differently. Some, they like it according to bullet points. Others, they want readings. Yeah, and the third type, they want some visuals in terms. I just want to have it quick and fast. Yeah, I wanted already to say quick and dirty, but quick and fast is the right one. Yeah, especially a specialist role. You have the role. What is the primary focus? What is the key responsibility? And what is the contribution? I only need a table, and the table I memorize in a way. Yeah, you need not to memorize it all the day. Yeah, if you memorize 3, 4 out of them, it's already fine. Yeah, and then the rest in exam, I come up with some filling words. Yeah, so that
You can sort of
professor can mark, because they like to read.
have the
Then 3 lines model specialist. What is the first line? Yeah, that's the 3 lines of defense. That can also be applied here in risk management. Yeah. So what is the first line? The first line is the business operation, the risk owner itself. The second line is then the compliance oversight, and the third line would be the independent assurance. Here it's the same. Let me put it a bit bigger. You see here, the first line. What is the function about? Who? What is the accountability about? And the second line, here you have the business unit itself, the frontline staff, in the first line. In the second line, you have the chief risk officer, the compliance officer, and so on. In the third line, you have, for example, the head of internal audit. That can be, in this way, it can be organized, just as an example, just as an idea. Here you have the contribution. Here you have also the link. For example, this helps you a lot to understand who is responsible, who can be responsible for which risk. Strategic risk is with the risk officer. Operational risk is with the enterprise risk manager. Financial risk is, for example, with the treasury finance specialist. That you have the risk, and which role shall deal with which risk. That's a matrix here helping also. What's the key activities, and who can support? So I tried here really to look from different angles into the system itself. Also, when it comes which factors influence the specialist staffing. That's a recommendation. Of course, you can tailor it here according to the case study. Because if you recommend, you want to implement here chief risk officer, then you need some factors why you do it. And then you can say, okay, what is the factor for this decision? Of course, the organizational size. Lower staffing needs, higher staffing needs. Of course, in a way, logic. Industry sector, professional services, lower staff. Financial services, healthcare might have a higher staff needed. Regulatory intensity. Minimal regulation with lower staff, and higher, of course, heavily regulated, and so on. Career level. You see also, I tried here to analyze here according to career level. This paper, really, you can use it as a guideline. If you are really carrying out risk roles, and you, for example, have here the issue to find suitable staff, then you have here a guidance which type of roles you should hire. That you have here. And also, what is the competency category? Because often it can also be discussed, or you find out in a case study that certain capabilities, certain competencies is missing. Then you can refer here to this table. You need technical knowledge, you need business acumen, you need communication skills, you need analytical skills. And analytical skills in risk management is very important insofar, especially, let me say, on the enterprise management level, that you can do here quantitative analysis, that you do here critical thinking, problem solving, scenario planning, and so on. Scenario techniques and so on. Monte Carlo simulation, and so on. Yeah, that's so far. Yeah, section 3. What is section 3? I named it. Yeah, short answer. That's identify additional principles for effective 5 principles. Shall be here. Yeah, you see. Yeah, I guess with this, it's already now going to be 10:30.
Oh dear.
And another time, more time than targeted, because we scheduled 2.5 hours. Now it's 3 hours. But I think it's always helpful for you, even if it takes me some more time to dive through and give you some details or insights. Although there is a high risk of overload.
Yeah. Well, I actually prefer a more like interactive one because it and it's more practical and I can ask questions and it feels like I understand. Okay, the exam questions they're going to ask this and therefore what is the scope of your answer? I think more helpful.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You can also come up with your own ideas of questions, of course. Yeah. And then we discuss it. So we can arrange here the approach completely individual. If you have, for example, an issue and say, let us discuss this because it fits here in a way. And of course, all what is related to risk is fitting. Yeah. Then we discuss it.
I to be honest, I'm only aiming to pass. So
okay, I know.
I'm not sure what's the passing mark for.
The passing mark is 50%. It's not that challenging. Yeah. Frankly spoken, you have three parts, I guess, or 2 parts.
Okay.
Yeah, there is the theoretical part. There is the theoretical part. Yeah, where you have some short questions, and then you have this comprehensive case study. In the case study, this is a total advantage. Yeah, just provide me whenever the pre-released risk management case study is released. Yeah, because that will happen, I guess, in mid-May, I would guess, because the exam is in mid-June or something around 12 June or something. They pre-release the case study just as the description. So with no questions, nothing, just the case study as a description of a situation in a company. And in exam, you will get coincidentally questions which are covering the entire syllabus of this module. So what I can do for you is you provide me the pre-released case study. I will define, let me say, up to 40 questions, this case study, and provide you suggested answers. So that's ultimately the most efficient way how you can deal with the case study in the exam itself.
Okay.
Because it's tailored.
Yeah.
I have also, from the last 5 years, I have the case studies, always done in that way. Yeah, you have the case study, the task, and you have the case study, the suggested solution. And the suggested solution quite comprehensively, because I don't know whether they have more focus on chapter 5 or more focus on chapter 11 or more focus on chapter 10. I do it in that way that all chapters are covered. Yeah. And then you have, let me say, some 30, 40 pages. And that is covering, and then you are well prepared. Because last semester, it worked perfectly for the students. Yeah. Because they say, that's the best way. I have already the essentials for the exam itself. Yeah, and then you have the case study, because the case study is definitely coming up in that way. The only thing what you don't need and don't know is which questions. Yeah, and you have also this opportunity. There is a group from MAICSA. Yeah. I also give you this information. Yeah? And so in former time, they scheduled this. I don't know whether they scheduled this semester as well. They scheduled in that way, yeah, that the professor at least also discusses the case study in short, but he or she is only saying, okay, this part of the case study is related to this chapter of the book. Yeah, they don't give you questions and answers. They just say, yeah, and usually because I attended this several times. This was always the same. Yeah, in the end, all chapters were mentioned. So
Right.
yeah, yeah. Anyway, yeah, that's regarding here case studies. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, then I would say thank you so much for your attendance, and really in terms of contribution, whenever you want to address a question, just reach out or just so if you have just a little bit of time, then you look into some questions, because if you look into the questions itself, when it comes to the 25 most salient questions, where do I have this? Yeah, that we finalize this paper as well, that we look, oops, no, I have it already open. So, there are 25 questions, to each section of the book, so far. Yeah, you won't find it in the book because this is add-on. So therefore, you have here, some questions that you look into the question, and then you say, "Hey, please let us discuss this question in detail, because this is the most the one, which is not that familiar to me." Yeah, then we do question 22, for example. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But
Sure.
therefore, I need from you the input. If I don't have the input, I don't know where exactly to focus. Yeah, but we can do this. Yeah, you tell me which questions you want to discuss, and then we do it like this. You already know the question itself. You can come up with your own words, your own way of answering. Yeah, you can even give this in writing to me, up front, and I mark it. That I can also do, and give you tailored feedback to your way of answering.
Okay. Okay, that's really good.
That depends on your input. Yeah, usually, of course, as the students, they don't have that much time. I always offer this. Yeah, let me say in the last semester, out of 10 students, I had only 3 students. They really used that service. Yeah, I cannot force them to use it. I can only offer. Yeah,
Understand.
But-
Yeah, I think that maybe nearer towards, after the
yeah, of course. Yeah.
probably
Okay,
after we
I did,
finish,
yeah.
then only I will be trying the Q&A, and maybe then only I got time, I suppose.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's not an issue. Then let me say later on towards the end, and luckily we started already early. Yeah, therefore I also always recommend the students, at least when the previous semester's result is out, you should already start with the new one.
Yeah.
Yeah, with
Because
the new subject. Yeah, we already started earlier, so now we are more advanced, more progressed. Yeah, and we have still at the end some 2 weeks or 3 weeks extra left, which we can fill in addition.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, Lydia. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, it's great. You see, I really try to do the utmost here to support you in the best manner possible.
Yes.
So because it is success, if you succeed here in the first run already to get your certificate.
I hope so.
Yeah, you will make it. Don't worry. Don't worry.
No.
Don't worry.
Okay.
With this super learning method, it's possible. It's really possible. Believe me. Yeah.
Okay.
I did. I had once. I had once this. Yeah, I even forgot about an exam. Yeah, and then I found out. Yeah, 5 in the morning. Yeah, that today I have an exam, but I wasn't prepared at all. And then I used just the time between 5 and 7, yeah, with this super learning method based on, for example, yeah, the fact sheet, exam fact sheet, and I could manage to pass. Yeah,
Oh,
because the most pending issues, yeah, just filled in, yeah, by looking into the paper, by reading, by listening, all the channels to fill my brain I used.
yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, and that's really, yeah. And then I got it was, yeah, because our rating system was at that time different. The best was 1, yeah, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, that's our rating system, and I got the 2. Yeah, and 1, 2, 3, 4 is pass. Yeah, 5 is fail. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Okay, so I don't bother you furthermore. I think you must already be very tired.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
I'll
so
go eat my dinner now.
yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then next time we see each other on Sunday
Okay.
on governance. Yeah, governance part, the second session, I guess. Or do we have? Yeah. Mhm.
Okay. And will
Yeah.
do.
Okay.
All
See
right.
you.
I see you. Thank you.
Bye. 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 Thank you. Thank you so much.